In this quick training video on why your gym isn't growing, I'm going to help you diagnose your pipeline so you can identify the exact bottleneck. And in this first segment, we're going to talk about lead volume. This is the thing that everybody wants to spend time on and everybody wants to know more about. We're going to figure out how many leads you need to be generating in order for your facility to be growing on the assumption that these numbers are in order.
So let's look at it like this. If you generate 100 leads and you get a 50% booking ratio, that's going to be 50 appointments. Of those 50 appointments, if you get a 70% show ratio, that means 30% of people are not going to show up, right? So 55, 10, 15, that gives you 35 people in through the doors. So we're at 35 individuals right there. Now, let's say you get a close ratio of 50%. What's that going to be? 17 and a half, right? So you got 17 sales. Now let's say your facility has 200 members and you have 5% monthly attrition. What is that going to be? That's going to be 10 memberships that cancel, right? So
you're going to be growing by a net of 7 members at 200 members for whatever your ad spend and marketing costs are. 100 leads. If all of these numbers are going well, 100 leads per month is enough to grow your facility. So you got to calculate, how am I going to get those 100 leads? Well, I'm going to give you a strategy for identifying what tools are best for what lead gen sources depending on where you are in business. So the easiest way is to hire somebody to run ads for you and they will generate 100 leads for you, but not everybody can afford to do that, especially not if there's anything wrong with this pipeline. The moment something dips, like the booking ratio or the show ratio or the close ratio, it all falls apart and you're actually net losing members from paying for those 100 leads. So you gotta have a couple other irons in the fire, even if you can afford to just generate the lead volume that you need every month. Think about it like this. If the average cost per lead, and it changes all the time, depends on the season of year, and it's going up year by year. So if you're watching this a year after I posted it, it's very likely that the cost per lead is, at least 30% more than it is currently right here in the year of the publishing of this video. Imagine an average cost per lead of anywhere between $10 to $30 per lead. Let's just say a $15 cost per lead. To get 100 leads, that's going to be an ad spend of at least $1,500. So you spent $1,500 to net 7 members in this equation. Now, $1,500 to net 7 members over time will still be cash flow positive. But if each member is spending $150, it's going to take 2 months of that sort of lead gen for you to be making a positive ROI, right? So let's look at some other ways of generating leads so that you're not dependent on ad spend alone. Fastest and easiest is ad spend. And that's why I say there's probably nobody out there who has a successful facility who should ever be spending less than $1,500 a month in ad spend. Like, that just shouldn't be the case. And in areas where the cost per lead is higher, like $20 or $30 per lead, it probably needs to be closer to 2 or 3K a month in ad spend. So we got that consideration. Now, as the cost per lead becomes more expensive, facilities in your area won't always be able to afford it. And that means that the value of organic leads is going through the roof. Problem is, generating organic leads takes time. So word to the wise, invest in the Google algorithm. Make sure that you have a lot of 5-star reviews on your Google Maps. Make sure that you're active on your Google review platform. You want to log into your Google My Business platform several times per week, like, probably once every 3 to 4 days is sufficient. And of course, the basics of making sure that your information published on Google Maps is accurate. Doing all of that well is going to increase your organic leads. And people ask me all the time, oh, do I emphasize Yelp or do I emphasize Google? Well, Google owns the internet, so they don't have to work as hard to drive traffic to their products and services because all the traffic occurs through Google in the majority of the US. That's where my bet is. We've got a few strategies in the program if you want to know more about how you actually increase your organic leads with Google reviews and not messing it up. Bare basics. Do not spike your reviews out the wazoo by asking every single member this week to give you a review. Secondly, don't say, hey, if you give me a review, I'll give you X, Y, and Z. If Google hears about that, they might actually remove your ability to have a Google business profile. Your Google Maps listing would go away, stuff like that. So avoid those 2 pitfalls, and those are like the bare basics that you don't want to mess up. What else can we do to get more leads? Well, your website is getting traffic. Say web leads. Your website's already getting traffic, especially when you start running ads, when you're spending money to get this going right here, this ad spend, that $2,000 a month ad spend budget. Guess what? Your website traffic is probably at least double what it would be without running paid ad spend traffic. So if you're going to be doing this, word to the wise, make sure that your website is up to date and make sure that it converts well. Here are a couple secrets for getting your website to convert well. Number one, you want to have a really simple chat widget on every single page that says something like, have a question, connect with us here. And it could just say, have a question, right? There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it, but make it easy so that someone who's not quite ready to take the next step of giving you a call or scheduling a visit or buying a trial membership can ask you questions. 3 basic categories. We want to put our effort into the people that are in that middle category and in that last category. Middle category, make it easy for them to engage in a conversation with you. Last category, make it easy for them to schedule a time to come and visit. The way that I like to do that is having a clean call to action on every single page as the most prominent thing on your website of click here to give us a try, or click here to come on by, or whatever you want to say, but invite people to come and visit your facility and make sure that's the most prominent thing on the page. Third and finally, if you do this well with your website, you will probably triple the volume of web leads that you get. Imagine you're getting a certain number of clicks to your website and now you start running ad spend. Traffic doubles. If you double the traffic and just slightly improve how well your website converts that traffic into a person in through the doors, you will easily triple the volume of sales opportunities that your website produces. Because if someone doesn't give you their contact information, they're not willing to do that, they're probably not going to come in. And if they don't give you your contact information, it's hard to follow up with them and remind them of their appointment, and the show ratio is going to be terrible. So get opt-ins, request contact information, first name, last name, cell, email, and then send them that pass so that you have their contact information and you can remind them. Final point on this is speed to lead. What does a prospect do when they're interested in visiting your facility and they're thinking about coming by? Well, they're probably Googling the closest 2 to 5 gyms that are relatively similar to your offer, that are kind of what they're looking for, and they might have messaged 2 or 3 of them. The person who responds 3 hours later loses to the person who responds 3 minutes later. Speed to lead is the number one most important thing, which is why when we work with clients, we handle all of their follow-up. We book all of their appointments for them, their web leads, we reply to Google Maps reviews, we produce leads from ad spend, we book those leads, and we get all their old leads to come back in through the doors as well. Which brings us to the final thing that you can do. Dead leads. People call these dead leads, but I always say the same thing. Dead. Those leads aren't dead, they're alive and well, and they might even be right up the street still. So your dead leads, that list needs to be growing. Do not let people come into your gym without sharing contact information. Steward that list well, and you'll find that over the years, you're able to produce potentially hundreds of appointments every single year and people in through the doors from your old leads. Don't allow those to just sit there and do nothing with them. I'll tell you, in one of the studios that I currently own, we produce for like almost an entire year. We produced 10 to 20 people in through the doors just using the old leads, because the facility had been around for like 7 years and there were like 10,000 prospects in that list because they've been running ads for like 6 or 7 years. And so they had a huge list of opportunities. Grow your list of old leads, because there's a couple types of leads that opt in. Some that want to come in today, some that think they're going to come in later, and some that kind of lose interest today, but they might wake up again later on. All ads do is wake up the attention of somebody who is in your local region. Well, if you have a list of 2,000 contacts who are not currently members of your facility, it's a good chance the majority of those people are still in your local region. So you don't need an ad to wake them up. You can wake them up with outreach. And I know I said that was the final one, but I'm going to give you one more bonus one. Referrals. You have to maximize referrals intentionally. There's 2 key times to do that. Number 1, right when a prospect joins, and number two, throughout their journey. So if you don't have an intentional system for doing that, you're probably getting about half of the referrals that you could be. And people will still refer you because they enjoy your facility. But if you intentionally reach out to your member base 3 times per year and incentivize referrals right away when people join so they have someone to go on the journey with them, you will easily double your referral volume throughout the year. Now, oh dang, I just thought of one other. Grassroots/events. Grassroots is an old school way of getting people to come in. It's where you literally walk around in your community to the businesses around you, to the people on the street, and you say, hey, have you ever tried out blank? And they're like, no, I haven't. You're like, oh, it's right over there. And you give them a pass and schedule them with an appointment to come in and give your facility a whirl. If you can do this well and just get a couple appointments per week, it sets you head and shoulders above the competition in your area that's not doing this well. There's an event sales strategy as well. I call it the $40,000 day strategy, because I did this in a gym that I used to run, and I sold $40,000 worth of memberships in one single day. So getting leads well at events and doing it well by grassroots outreach, all of this works together. If you can do all this well, you've created omnipresence in a local area. Now, when you've got an omnipresent sort of campaign, you're connecting with people who never would have come in through the doors from just seeing an ad. When you do this well, nobody else in your local area can compete with you, and you get the lowest cost per lead and the best cost per sale in your local area, and that's where you can put your foot on the gas and become the dominant player in a local market. Now, in the rest of this series, I'm going to show you how to get an excellent booking ratio. Show ratios of at least 70%. Close ratios, minimum 35 to 50%. And then retention of 3 to 5%. I'll tell you, some of our clients will have retention in like average 12-month retention of losing, say, 2 to 3% of their members per year. If you have more than 10% monthly attrition, it's almost impossible to outpace that. So I share that with you to say, everybody thinks, oh, I just need more leads and my facility will grow. True, if you do all these other things well, and that's what the rest of this series is about. So go ahead and watch the next video, the second segment on getting a great booking ratio, and you could probably double the amount of people who come in through your doors just by getting a better booking ratio. You don't necessarily have to spend more on ads or do more to get more leads. Do more with the leads that you have. By the end of this series, you will be able to diagnose your pipeline and identify exactly where your biggest bottleneck is. So I trust that'll serve you well, and I can't wait to see you in the next training video on segment 2, the booking ratio, right now.